Hello and welcome. Let's talk Hunchback of Notre Dame. Hunchback of Notre Dame was in the middle of the Disney Renaissance and it released in 1996, and personally I believe it is one of the most underrated films in the Disney canon and needs so much more attention. It's a lot darker than what we've been seeing, and it's a very serious film, and it tackles a lot of serious issues which are super important, and I love the way they tackled it for kids to understand. From the beginning scene, you just know that you're on a ride, and you're introduced to Frollo, who has to be the best Disney villain because I hate him so much. I hate him so much. Oh, and that's what a good villain is. A lot of these villains are too likable and I'm on their side, but no, I hate Frollo. Every single time he's on the screen, I just want him to die, and I'm happy when he does. And it just, he gets to you, and it's just the worst type of being that he could possibly be, and it's good. That's a great reaction because you have to hate the villains. That's what they're supposed to be there. But I don't know if you can kind of see behind me, but all of my stuff is villain central. So points for Frollo because he is a true villain that you hate. I hate him so much. Quasimodo, who is the sweetest creature ever, and you feel so bad for him and you just want to give him a million hugs. And he's just such a gentle, caring soul who has a misfortune of looking different from other humans. And that's the only flaw he has, and it's a shame because he's locked up in the spell tower. And back then, that's what happened. If people had a disability, even if it was a facial disability or whatnot, they were locked up and they were not treated like other humans. And that's something we need to learn from history, and we have progress from history, but it still does happen on a rare occasion in different countries, especially. You don't know. And so that's something we still have to be aware of, and there's still prejudice against it, but we're learning, and that's why this film is here, to teach us. I really feel sad for Quasimodo and how he is treated by Frollo and the mental abuse that he has to take in. And I have dealt with mental abuse in my personal life, and I know how it is, so I feel for Quasimodo and I just want to help him and to like kill Frollo, and I'm so glad that he is dead because the things that he says just gets you and just stabs you right there. Ugh. That's why I'm grateful for Esmeralda. I really am. Esmeralda isn't technically a princess, but she is still a very important character that girls should look up to. And I feel like she has been forgotten because she's a little bit more sensual in some ways, and Disney has gone to a completely different direction, and they're just very underrated characters. I will get back to why Esmeralda is a fantastic role model at the end. We're going to come back to this. When it comes to characters as well, I also thought it was interesting that Kevin Kline played Phoebus, and he also played Maurice in Beauty and the Beast and the new one. And I didn't realize the voices were so different. It wasn't until I was looking at the credits to figure out what was the gargoyles, because I knew that voice, and it was Jason Alexander, which we'll talk about in a minute. But it was the same person. I'm just surprised that Kevin Kline was Phoebus and now he's Maurice, and that's another Disney character. Yay! He did a wonderful job. I really enjoy this character too. This film is fantastic. The music is breathtakingly beautiful. I know it did launch another Broadway show, a lot of these movies have, and this one deserves it, rightfully so, because the music is just amazing. The Bells of Notre Dame is the first song that you come out with, and it's just hits you, and you're in Paris, France, in the past and history, and you're just there. You're just set in. Then you go into songs that are like belting songs, like Out There.
Out there, strolling by the sand, taste the morning out there, like ordinary men who freely walk about there, just one day, and then I swear I'll be content.
God help the outcast.
Show them the mercy they don't find on earth. God help my people, we look to you still. I ask for nothing, I can get by, but I know so many less lucky than I. Please help my people, the poor and downtrodden. I thought we all were children of God.
And all of these are serious, important songs that tackle very, very important issues. And I really appreciate it, and I really admire that Disney did this because this was gorgeous. This is such a gorgeous film overall, and it has such important messages. It's almost perfect. Now, why is it almost perfect? Because of the gargoyles.
All right, pour the wine and cut the cheese.
I know they were trying to balance out because it is such a dark, depressing film, and there's a lot of death and destruction involved in this animated feature, and they want to make sure it's family friendly, but I hate the gargoyles. They're not needed. And I like Jason Alexander too. He was great in Cinderella, but oh, it ruins every single scene that they're in, and this entire song is not needed.
Guy so swell,
A guy like you, I
with
will
all
not
you
be.
bring of her. A fool could tell it's why she fell for you know her. You never fell, you're the bell ringer. When she wants ooh la la, and she wants you la la, she will discover Guy, you're one heck of a guy.
But I digress. Besides the fact of the gargoyles, everything is perfection in this film, and it really needs to be more well known again. It has faded back, and just like how Pocahontas has faded back, it's been replaced with other features, and there's basically nothing you can find. And I feel like, in a sense, and I know I'll talk about this as we continue forward, the late 90s films of the Renaissance are nowhere known. So Pocahontas, you really can't find much of it in the parks at all. Same with Hunchback, you cannot find anything with Hunchback. Maybe a couple pins. I've never seen anything with Hunchback. And now this is my mission, because now I've been reintroduced to it, that I adore it now, that I want to find more stuff. And I know back when it first came out, it did come out and they did represent it with promotion and merchandise, because I remember when I was young, I had an Esmeralda action figure doll. It was a doll, but it was more of the action figure vinyl, and it was just her in her outfit. And so that's one thing I remember. I don't have it anymore, but I do remember having that when I was younger, and things like that, and the soundtrack is gorgeous. And same with Hercules, as we'll discuss tomorrow. Hercules and Tarzan, they're all my favorites. Probably because this was my time when I was like right in childhood, but I was old enough that I was able to see this in the theaters and fell in love with all these films. But I feel like there needs to be more representation of these films because they're fantastic and I love them, and they need to be more out there. Did not mean to do that, but hey. And I'm glad to have this movie for the outcasts, because it's important to know, and it's important to show that outcasts are cool too, and you don't have to be in society's bubble, and it's great to be outside of the bubble. And most of the time, as we've seen in these old villages, same connecting to Beauty and the Beast with Belle, with Gaston's this similar situation where he's loved by the village and all the village is brainwashed, but then Belle's an odd one and she's the weird one that you don't want to care about. Same thing with Quasimodo. Quasimodo and Belle are very similar to each other in different senses, whereas Belle just chooses to be away from the crowd and Quasimodo wants to, but he isn't able to. So it's interesting to know the two differences, that they are similar in that sense. Esmeralda, even though she's not a princess, is a fantastic role model for girls because of the fact that she is a very talented person that works her way on the streets and tries to do what she can to get by, and is still very independent, doesn't follow the crowds, and she's very kind and sweet and doesn't judge people, and that is very important. I like her, I really do. I know she was voiced by Demi Moore, who is very feisty and edgy and everything, and it gives that more of a unique feel to it, but I relate to it, and I feel like that's the type of character that I go for. I've also mentioned previously how Disney has been doing a lot of these remakes, and they have gotten darker tones to them, more serious, with Cinderella and Beauty and the Beast both, and they are continuing to make more remakes like Lion King, which is not needed, but we're going to discuss that later when we actually talk about Lion King. I would adore and admire them to do this as a live action remake, because this is the perfect material for it. It needs representation, it is a gorgeous, beautiful story, and it has so many amazing messages that you need to be aware of and kids should learn about. And it's a perfect tone because the fact that they have that darker sense to them and more serious dramatic sense, this is perfect. The gargoyles don't need to be part of it. You have a chance to make it perfect and give it better exposure. Definitely a fantastic film. Everyone should check it out if you haven't already. Give it a rewatch if you've been a while since you've seen it. It is online, it's easy to find, especially Hulu. It's on Hulu and it's been on Netflix, so it flips on and off between those, and just go and give it some support because it's very needed at this point. I feel like it's very lost and it's not even that old. Especially with what's been going on with the elections and the world. It's a very important film to watch today. And I'll leave you that. That's Hunchback. It's gorgeous. I love it so much. It's one of my favorites. Tomorrow, we're going to be talking about my ultimate favorite, Hercules. It's going to be just praise upon praise upon praise. I'm going to tell you right now. But it's going to be great. So stay tuned. And as always, I hope you have a magical day. And I will see you real soon.